Hi, welcome to Senior Moments Successful Aging. I'm Mary Beals-Luedtke. I'm the Director for Area Agency on Aging at NACOG. You can reach us at the Area Agency on Aging toll-free at 877-521-3500. Senior Moments Successful Aging is co-sponsored by the Area Agency on Aging and the Division of Lifelong Learning at Yavapai College. Our producer is Nancy Bennett. And you can always give Nancy a call if you have questions about today's show, or maybe you have an idea of something you'd like us to do a show on. We'd love to hear from you. Nancy's phone number is 717-7607. So give Nancy a call. She's the one that does all the work. I just sit here and talk to you. So again, welcome. And I would like to welcome our guest today, Linda Nichols. Hi.
Good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm really good and glad to have you back again.
Thank you.
So, Linda, you're relatively new to Prescott. But my goodness, you have been a busy woman. Last time you were on the show, we talked about your work with the VA. And so how long ago did you move here?
I moved here permanently about 1.5 years ago. And I bought my house here, though, almost 5 years ago now.
Okay. And where do you come from?
Oh, I've lived all over the country.
Okay.
I worked in semiconductor, and my last job was in mining, so it took me to many different locations in the country. But I last lived in Tucson. And so I was able to come up here on the weekends and enjoy Prescott and then go back and work in Tucson and then come back up every weekend until I could retire, which was about 1.5 years ago, and then I moved up here permanently.
Nice. But when you say retire, I think it's not what we normally think of, just going on a fishing trip, because you have been a very busy woman. You have contributed so much to our community already. And the main thing we're going to talk about today is the dog park, but you've also done some other projects here for us. What the Prescott Chamber of Commerce?
I do volunteer at the Prescott Chamber of Commerce. It's very fun to volunteer there. You're like a tour guide for Prescott, and what a better place to be a tour guide for. There's so much to do here, and if you can't find something to do in Prescott, really, you're not looking. So I just work there 1 day a week, and then if they need anybody, I will work extra days. But it's a great volunteer position. And then I work with the Rosser Adult Center, with the Adult Center of Prescott on Rosser Road. And I work with the veterans there and do the Veterans History Project.
So let's get to the dog park. So you entered this contest. So what was the contest all about? What was it? And so you can explain a little bit about what contest you won and how.
Well, it was the Beneful Brand Dry Dog Food Dream Dog Park Contest of 2013. So it was towards the end of the summer in 2013. And it was just an ad I happened to see walking by the television one night. And prior to that, my neighbor and friend was, we were going to the dog park with our dogs. And as you know, our dog park, we were grateful to have it because it was a place for our dogs to run off leash. But it was just a dirt field and a fence and a couple buckets of water for the dogs. And there was a lot of weeds at that time in the park. So she had been talking to the city, and they were very responsive, came out, cut the weeds, tried to do the best they could with what they had. And it maybe made me aware of the need for a dog park, because when I walked by the TV commercial, I thought, wow, we could use that dog park, and they were in a dream dog park, no less, something really nice. And I thought, well, what the heck, might as well just put in an essay. It was just required a 250-word essay and a photo of you and your dog. Could only be one dog. I happen to have 2 dogs, and it could only be one dog. And so I did the essay, ran it past some of my neighbors for critique, and then my husband took a picture of me, which turned out really good with my dog, because the one dog I thought would pose didn't want to, and the other one, which is very kind of has more anxiety and hyper, she just got right up there and posed. And so she became the dog in the dog contest, so the dog park contest. And so we submitted that and didn't hear anything for a while. And you kind of think a nationwide contest, you may never hear anything. Right. But lo and behold, in the November time frame, this was in the more like the September-October time frame, but in November I got a call from Beneful saying that we were in the finals. And out of the nation, there was more than 1,000 entries. We were in the top 14.
Wow. I bet you were excited. So let's go back to the essay a little bit. So what are the questions, what are some of the questions you had to answer?
Well, there was just really one question, and it said, if you had $500,000 to create a dream dog park, where you and your best buddy can play together, what would you do? So you had to, in the essay, describe the park, what you would want in the park, what features you would want, how you wanted it to look, and especially the theme of the park. And at the time, it was several months after June 30th where we lost our fallen heroes, which was a very somber occasion for Prescott, and Prescott was in that mode. It was very sad. And so to honor the 19 fallen, a great theme would be a fireman's theme.
Yeah.
And so that's what I came up with, was a fireman's theme. And the park, I called it Sirens and Hydrants. And that goes with dogs, and it goes with firemen. And, the whole mascot of the fire department is usually a Dalmatian and all of that. So it just really went together well, and that's what we submitted as the theme. So it was the name of the park is Sirens and Hydrants in that theme.
Very creative.
But really, it's still called Willow Creek Dog Park.
Okay. So when you heard from him in November, what were the next steps? What happened?
Well, the next step was a little intimidating for me because it was a 2-minute video. And even though people offered their services and the city even offered their videographer, we couldn't use anyone who'd ever been paid to do a video. It had to be an amateur video. They wanted it to be homemade. They wanted it to be, one person called it charming, because homemade is that's a nice word for charming. And so a neighbor of mine, she's very daring and she's really good at electronics and stuff. We found some cameras and phones and different things that we could videotape on. And we went out in almost gale windstorms at that time. We went and tried to do this 2-minute video. And I wrote up the script for it, and then we picked the locations, and then she ran the video. Then she had, helped to put it together into one piece of video. It turned out we were not very knowledgeable about making a video, so it is quite charming. It's very amateur, but it's what they asked for, so that was good.
What did they want in the video?
They wanted you to show the park that you have now, why you need a new park, and that was the easy part.
That was the easy part.
Our park is not very, attractive, and our park wasn't very attractive, and yet, I don't want to downplay it because we had a park, at least. Some cities don't have a park, and a lot of people use that park. It's amazing how many even then used it, even as a dirt field and a fence. But, so in that, we had to show the park and show, the condition of the park. We also went out to Granite Mountain where there was a burn area, and we talked about our fallen 19.
Perfect.
And then we went back to a regular park with green grass and just finished up the video. And we congratulated everyone that had applied to win this contest. And, we just hoped that they picked the best person. And then in the end, in December, I got a call saying that we won the park.
Oh my gosh. I bet you never forget that day.
No. And I was all alone. I was in the house and the call came in, and, you're kind of wanting somebody to celebrate with, but I was just by myself. My husband was at the store. He came home, and then I told him.
Oh my gosh.
But it was very exciting, and working with Beneful has been wonderful. They've been really responsive. They connected me with their public relations person, and we did rallies before we won. And that was another thing. You had to have 30% of the judging was votes. 70% was done by judges like Nate Burkus, James Cameron, and the Beneful team. So they had a few of the HGTV and DIY people on the judging panel. And so to get those votes, though, was very important as well, even though it was 30%. So we held a rally, one at Petco, where we just handed out cards and asked people to vote. And then we held a rally at Timberwolf, which is a little dog store in Bashford Court that's owned by Deborah Campbell Howard and her husband Jim, and she just let me use a whole store in the front of it to have people come in, and we had little snacks and things, and just when you go up to people, they're a little apprehensive, And then we say, we don't want anything, we're not collecting money, we just want you to vote for us online. Well, their attitude was wonderful, and their whole family would vote. You could have each person who had a email address vote. And so there'd be 2 or 3 young teenagers or something in the group, and they said, we're all going to vote. And apparently they did, because over time we surpassed I think all the votes of all the other 14, and I think we did have the most votes in the end. It was hard to tell because we could only look at hits on the video, but we had the most hits for sure.
You know, but that speaks a lot to you, because obviously what you did in that video, you know, people were drawn to that because it shows a lot of heart. Not only are you trying to honor the firefighters, you're thinking about the community. It wasn't for you. This was a selfless thing that you did. If I was James Cameron, I would have voted for you too. I mean, there's no question.
Well,
I mean, that's amazing.
You know, when you have a theme that strong and that inspiring, you know, and a town as great as Prescott is, with, you know, they came here several times as groups of people, and say groups of 4 or 5 from Beneful or from Cone, which was their communications company, and they just fell in love with this town. And one of the things they did is the mayor in December did a proclamation that December was the dog park month.
Nice.
And so they couldn't come for that, so they asked me to read what they would say if they came. And what I read was really heartwarming, because they mostly talked about how wonderful Prescott is and how they were embraced and that everybody was so cooperative. So in that sense, it turned out really well.
You know, and that shows the sense of community that we have here. I mean, it really does, you know. So,
and that when they see a good thing, they really go for it. And when I first went to the mayor's office and met with him and Joe Baines of Parks and Recreations, and at the time Pete Wortham of Public Relations, I was just a finalist. And I told them, and they go, we know you're going to win. We're 100% behind you. Their enthusiasm was really great. They talked to me for 45 minutes on a pretty busy day, I'm sure. And they were very enthusiastic about the idea of getting this park for the city. And what a gift. We need a dog park. We have wonderful dog-loving people here. They take a lot of their dogs to the city court lawn, you know, courthouse.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that right, courthouse lawn. And it'd be nice to see them take them out to the park, because there they can run, they can socialize, they can, you know, even the owners can socialize as well.
So how did you choose the location of the park?
Well, the location of the park, kind of unbeknownst to me at the time, was basically chosen. I didn't know that for a long time, but it had to be an existing dog park according to the charter of Beneful. And so Willow Creek is really our only existing dog park. The problem was that land also has to be publicly owned. And the land at Willow Creek was owned by APS, if you recall.
Okay, that's right.
Well, in record time, messages got to APS through Parks and Recreations and through another gentleman named Ray Newton, who helped me out.
I know Ray.
Yeah, and between the two, they really worked with APS, and APS was extremely responsive. I mean, to think that within a couple of months they could donate 2.34 acres to the city, all the paperwork done, everything. It was amazing. So yes, it held it up a little bit, but considering what we accomplished in that few months, it was amazing.
So an amazing partnership there with APS too.
And then the city gained 2.34 acres for the park without any cost to them. So it was just amazing. A win-win for everybody.
Absolutely. So what happened when you closed the old dog park? Did people kind of freak out a little bit, or?
No, because because of the Courier and the Quad newspaper, the different newspapers around and everything, everybody knew it was coming. And so what happened is, talking to Joe Baines, we needed an alternative park, right? We needed something because people depend on that park. A lot of people live in apartments or live in areas where it's not very conducive to walking a dog, and they go there every day, sometimes 2 and 3 times a day. So it was very imperative that we had something. So Joe worked really hard to pull together that ballpark that's behind Willow Creek Dog Park. He changed the gating. He changed several things within the park to make it dog friendly. Made sure there was water taken out to the center where they could get drinks. And well, it turned out that the people loved the alternative park because, of course, it's a ball field. It's all grass.
It's got grass on it.
And the dogs just played on the grass and loved it, and found it to be way better than the dirt field. And I was wondering even if they were going to like the new park because the alternative park was so great. So the number of people that started going to the park once it changed to the ballpark even increased again. Even though there were a lot already going, it increased there. But what amazes me now is you drive by the current new park. It's always crowded. My husband went there the other day and couldn't find a parking space. And
wow.
It's just so many people are using the park now, going there and enjoying it.
And it's open.
And it's open. It opened December the 10th. That was our grand opening. And what was fun, it was right between two cold spells.
Yeah.
And the next day it was windy and gray and awful, but the day that we opened it was beautiful and sunny, and
nice.
All the people that had come from the east, they came from St. Louis, Boston, a couple of other cities, New York. They were just marveling at our weather. You know, how can it be this warm and nice in the middle of winter?
Yeah.
So, but we did hit a beautiful day for the opening of the park.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
Meant to be.
Yeah.
So, like, what are the hours of the park?
Oh, they're well, you know, that's a good question, but I know that people go at 5 and 6 in the morning.
Okay, so it's pretty much open all day.
It's open all the time.
Okay.
I think they encourage you not to be there after 10 o'clock at night.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
That makes sense to me.
And just for safety reasons and liability reasons and so on. But it's the alternative park had different hours because they did have to get in there and mow the grass and water and things. But our park is really kind of a 24/7.
Awesome.
But they do discourage being there after 10.
So, what are some of the fun features of this park?
Oh, it's really got a lot of neat things going on. First of all, it has a beautiful entrance. And the entrance is depicting a fire station with the red brick columns and the wrought iron. And over the top of the entrance, it says Prescott. And it has kind of like the fire department numbers and things on the brick. And that was kind of funny because they got that wrong. They had the FDP, and it should have been FPD or vice versa or something, you know, so they had to change that. But the gate is beautiful. And one thing we asked for was a prettier entrance and just a gate in and a gate out, you know.
Yeah.
The area in which the dogs walk into is bigger, so it's not as crowded, and the gates close automatically.
Nice.
Yeah. So that's really nice. And then what you see, though, visibly from the street is that 22,000 square feet of canine grass. It is, just pops because it's so green and it's so nice, and the dogs seem to love it. The people I know usually take their dogs to the back of the park first, let them get the, you know,
stuff done.
Yeah, their business done, and let them run around a little bit. And then they come to the front of the park where all the grass and the agility centers are. The agility center is a fire truck, a really cute antique-looking fire truck. And then they also have these huge tires that are buried partially into the ground for the dogs to run through. I know in the paper they had one dog jumping from one to the other, which is quite a feat because you don't have much of a landing area. But he was really good. He was a very agile dog. And then they have the little ramp for the dogs to go up and down, and the little poles for the dogs to go through. And they have a really neat feature that looks like fire hoses, but they're misters. And you turn them on, they stay on for about 20 seconds at a time. Those were going to be water features in the beginning, and that's what they've done in other parks. But with our water conservation, our need to reserve water, preserve water, we decided misters. I think Joe Baines came up with that misters would be the better way to go. And it seems to be great because when the park first opened, everybody was playing in the misters and just having a ball. It was warm that day, warm enough to do that. Now in the winter, of course, those water features aren't as important, but come summer, they'll be a great place for people to cool off and dogs to cool off. At the where the awning is, where the cabana type thing is, they have beautiful tables that are wood and lined in metal, and then the benches are made out of old fire hoses. So they're real strong.
Interesting.
And they still have that firefighter theme. And then they have the water fountains, which they did freeze over this last snow, so they couldn't be used. But we went back to buckets temporarily. They'll be back up and running when the weather warms up. But all in all, there's a small side, there's a big side. The small side has a few little features too. And but again, the popularity is just very impressive of how many people go there.
How fun.
Yeah.
And what a great feature for us here in Prescott, for a variety of reasons. I have not been there. I myself live in Dewey, so I have to, and I've got 2 little ones. I think the agility course would be fun.
Yes.
I love to watch dogs go through that. It cracks me up. Always makes me smile.
Yeah.
No
and when they do it, like my dogs are not trained, and when they do that, I'm just so shocked that they went up the ramp and came down and go through things, I'm like, oh, maybe we should take you to agility training.
Who taught you to do that? They're just like little kids. They see something to play on and they're going to play.
Yeah.
Don't you think?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely.
And, I know that a lot of dogs go there, and once in a while, maybe one dog doesn't like another dog, but for the most part, in the 5 years that I've been going there off and on, I have never really seen any problems with the dogs. They're amazing how well they get along. It's like they're in their element. They know they're there to play.
Yeah.
And as long as they just get to play, they do well.
They're happy.
Yeah.
There's no competition because it's not their territory. It's not like somebody coming into their yard. That's a different story.
Although I have to say, my dog Callie started to think it was her park, because we got to go there a lot before it opened to do picture taking and meet with Jason Cameron and stuff. And sometimes I thought, oh my gosh, she's going to think this is her park and wonder why all these other dogs are in it. But but she did fine on the day of the opening. Good. She did great.
So I know the Beneful people came for the opening, and I'm sure they are using that for some of their PR. So is this something they're going to continue to do for other communities?
No, they're looking at what they're going to do next.
Okay.
They have done 3 other parks besides ours. So ours was the 4th park that they took on. The biggest park by far. They said most parks are just a small neighborhood little square of grass, but ours was 2.34 acres. Wow. And, so to fulfill their goal, they kind of kept everything to one end and did the north end of the park more, but they still did gravel all over the back end of the park and cleaned it up very nicely. Surprisingly enough, I heard that they actually spent more than $500,000 on the park. Again, it was their last park. They wanted to make sure it was right. They really were out here a lot working on it. And I know some people think that it doesn't look like that much was spent, but there's a lot of infrastructure with the water lines, the electrical lines, with all the underlayment on the grass and everything. So, and moving that much area around to fill low spots and all that, it took a lot of work, a lot of time.
What is canine grass?
Well, it's just that artificial turf.
Oh, okay.
But canine grass is made to take more punishment.
Okay.
But it's also made to drain super well. More so than like you might see turf on a football field. It's the mesh is not as tight because they want it to drain. It's not going to drain just in little holes.
Gotcha.
And it doesn't get hot. So the grass blades are made to be separated, and that cuts down the heat.
Okay. Well, that makes. I had to ask. I was going to ask that earlier. I'm like, canine.
It won't burn
what is that? What is canine grass? So, is the city maintaining the park?
They will maintain the park. They already had a budget to maintain the old park.
Excellent.
They did increase it by just a little to maintain the new park, but they felt that with all the new park features, it wouldn't be that much harder to maintain. Compared to the old park, so it really wasn't a lot of extra money, a little bit.
Yeah, but I'm sure well worth it, and it's what a great partnership again.
Yeah.
Corporate sponsorship, the community itself, Benefil, the city, and you, because everyone says, oh, gee, one person can't make a difference, and look what you did by writing that essay.
Who would have ever thought that writing a little essay would have led to this? But I'm so happy because it's something that we needed. And I benefit from it, but so does the community.
I love that.
It's wonderful.
So congratulations.
Thank you.
And thank you for being in our community because, again, one person can make a difference, and that's what you did. You made a huge difference for all the people that are going out there and the ones that haven't been there and need to go there, like me. So thank you very much for being with us again, and congratulations
you're
on
welcome. Thank you for
on
having me.
that. And I think that again, this makes you a pillar of our community in such a short time. So again, thank you so much. I appreciate it. And thank you for joining us today on Senior Moments Successful Aging and listening to Linda Nichols about our new dog park here in Prescott from Beneful, from the city, and from APS. And don't forget, you can call me at the Area Agency on Aging. Well, I say me loosely. You can call the Area Agency on Aging and talk to my staff about anything that has to do with long-term supports and services, anything to do with aging, whether it's yourself, your mom, your grandma, your sister, whoever. Give us a call and we'll help you muddle through some of the very complicated options that are out there. So call us at 877-521-3500. Again, thanks, Linda.
Thank you very much.
This is Senior Moment. See you next time.